When Tamara Blake took a job as a live-in caregiver, she expected long hours and strict routines, not secrets, a scarred employer, or a child caught in the middle of it all. But one knock on a locked door changes everything. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m. and Tamara Blake's hand shot out from under the thin blanket to silence it. She blinked away sleep and stared at the cracked ceiling of her small apartment. Another day, another battle to keep going. "Mama!" a small voice called from the doorway. 5-year-old Marcus stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Hey, baby," Tamara said, forcing a smile. "You're up early. Is today the day you go to the new job?" Tamara nodded, her stomach tightening. "Yes, but remember what we talked about. You're going to stay with Aunt Loretta during the week and I'll come get you every weekend." Marcus's bottom lip trembled. "But that's a long time." "I know, baby." Tamara pulled him into a hug, breathing in the scent of his hair. "But this job pays enough for us to get a better place. Maybe even save up for that trip to the aquarium you want. The one with the sharks?" "The very one," she promised. An hour later, after dropping Marcus at Loretta's, Tamara drove her ancient Honda toward the outskirts of Baton Rouge. The letter in her purse felt heavy. Live-in caregiver position, excellent compensation, private quarters, weekends off. It had seemed too good to be true when she'd applied. Then the call came and she'd been hired without even meeting her new employer. The GPS directed her down a long private drive bordered by ancient oak trees. At the end stood a sprawling house, not a mansion, but certainly the biggest home she'd ever set foot in. The stone facade and wide porch gave it a dignified air. Tamara checked her appearance in the rearview mirror. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, her face free of makeup except for a touch of lip gloss. Professional, capable, no nonsense, just what they'd asked for. She grabbed her 2 suitcases and approached the front door. Before she could knock, it swung open to reveal a stern-faced older woman. "You're Tamara Blake?" the woman asked, eyeing her critically. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Helen Porter, Mr. West's physical therapist. I come 3 times a week." "You're late." Tamara checked her watch. "I'm actually 15 minutes early." Helen's lips pursed. "Mr. West prefers his staff to arrive 30 minutes before scheduled. Come in." The inside of the house was beautiful but oddly sterile, like a museum no one visited anymore. Helen led her through a hallway lined with expensive-looking art. "Mr. West was in finance before his accident," Helen explained. "Very successful, very private. He doesn't like people asking about his condition, so don't. Your duties are outlined in the contract. Follow them exactly." "I understand," Tamara said, though unease crept up her spine. What kind of man had she agreed to work for? Helen stopped at a door. "Your quarters are through here. The kitchen is stocked weekly. Your primary responsibilities include medication management, meal preparation, driving Mr. West to appointments, and general household upkeep. He has specific routines. Learn them quickly." Tamara nodded, trying to take it all in. "Mr. West is in his study. He likes to meet new staff immediately." Helen's tone suggested this was rarely a pleasant experience. The study was a large room with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and a massive desk positioned to face the windows overlooking a neglected garden. A man sat in a wheelchair, his back to the door. "Mr. West, Tamara Blake is here," Helen announced. The wheelchair turned slowly. Donovan West was younger than Tamara had expected, perhaps early 30s. His features were striking, strong jaw, dark eyes, and the kind of face that might have been handsome if not for the permanent scowl. His right leg was in a brace, and his left arm rested uselessly in his lap. "So you're the new caregiver," he said, his voice deep and cold. "Yes, sir, I'm Tamara." His eyes flickered over her, assessing. "You have experience?" 2 years at Riverdale Assisted Living, and I cared for my grandmother before that. "And a child, I understand." Tamara stiffened. "Yes, my son is 5. He won't be living here." "No, that was clear in the contract." Donovan nodded once. "Good. This is business, Ms. Blake. I don't need your sympathy, just your schedule. My last 3 caregivers quit within a month. I'm not an easy man to work for." Tamara met his gaze directly. "I'm not looking for easy, Mr. West. I'm looking for a paycheck." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, perhaps. "Helen will show you the medication schedule. I take breakfast at 7 a.m. sharp, lunch at noon, dinner at 6. I require assistance with physical therapy exercises twice daily. The rest of your duties are outlined in the contract." "Understood. One more thing," he added as she turned to leave. "I value my privacy. The West Wing is off limits, and I don't discuss my condition or my past. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Mr. West. As Helen led her away, Tamara heard him mutter, "We'll see how long this one lasts." The first week was brutal. Donovan was demanding, particular about everything from how his toast was buttered to the exact temperature of his shower. He rarely spoke except to criticize, and when he did speak, his words were clipped and cold. Every night, Tamara called Marcus, fighting back tears as she told him cheerful stories about her day, carefully edited to sound positive. "I miss you, Mama," he would say, and her heart would crack a little more. "I miss you too, baby, but I'll see you Saturday, and we'll do something special." On Friday, as she prepared Donovan's lunch, he wheeled into the kitchen unexpectedly. "You're calling your son every night," he said. It wasn't a question. Tamara tensed. "Yes, is that a problem?" "No, but you sound different when you talk to him." She placed his sandwich on the table more forcefully than necessary. "Different? How?" "Human," he said simply, then added, "You've lasted longer than I expected. I need this job, Mr. West." So did the others. He studied her for a moment. "What makes you different?" Tamara thought about Marcus, about the cramped apartment they'd fled to after she'd finally found the courage to leave her ex-husband, about the night she'd gone hungry so her son could eat. "I've survived worse than a man with a bad attitude," she said finally. To her surprise, Donovan's lips twitched, almost forming a smile. "Fair enough, Miss Blake." That Saturday, Tamara picked up Marcus and brought him to the small park near Loretta's house. As he played on the swings, her phone rang. It was Donovan. "There's a problem with my medication," he said without preamble. "I need you to come back." "Mr. West, it's my day off. I'm with my son. I understand that, but this is important. The pharmacy delivered the wrong prescription." Tamara looked at Marcus, happily swinging higher and higher. "I can't just leave my son." A pause. "Bring him then." "What?" "Bring your son. There's plenty of space here. Just come back and sort this out, then you can return to your day off." Tamara hesitated, then sighed. "We'll be there in 30 minutes. When she arrived with Marcus in tow, Donovan was in the kitchen, a pill bottle in his hand. "This is the wrong dosage," he explained, then stopped when he saw Marcus hiding behind Tamara's legs. "This is my son, Marcus," Tamara said. "Marcus, this is Mr. West." Marcus peeked out. "Your chair has wheels." "Marcus," Tamara scolded, mortified. But Donovan just looked at the boy. "Yes, it does. Would you like to see how fast it can go?" Marcus's eyes widened. "Can it go super fast?" "Not super fast, but faster than you might think." While Tamara sorted out the medication issue, calling the pharmacy for a delivery of the correct prescription, she kept glancing nervously at Donovan and Marcus. To her amazement, her usually stern employer was showing Marcus how the wheelchair worked, even letting him sit in it for a moment. "Your son is well behaved," Donovan commented when they were preparing to leave. "Thank you," Tamara said, still surprised by the change in him. "There's a room next to your quarters," he said suddenly. "It's not being used." Tamara stared at him. "Mr. West? If you wanted to have your son here on weekends, that room could be made suitable." Her heart skipped. "The contract specifically said..." "I'm aware of what the contract says. I wrote it. I'm offering an amendment." Tamara looked at Marcus, who was examining a large aquarium in the living room with fascination. "Why would you do that?" Donovan's face closed off again. "It's practical. You'd be more focused if you weren't constantly worried about him. That's all." But Tamara sensed there was more to it. "Thank you, I'll think about it." The next morning, when she arrived to prepare breakfast, she found Donovan already in the kitchen, a children's book on the table beside him. "Do you think a 5-year-old would like this?" he asked, not looking at her. Tamara picked up the book, a beautifully illustrated story about ocean creatures. "Marcus would love this. He's obsessed with sea animals, especially sharks." Donovan nodded. "The room next to yours. I had it prepared yesterday." He finally met her eyes. "Bring him next weekend if you want." "Why are you doing this?" Tamara asked directly. "This house is too quiet," he said after a long pause. "That's all." But as he wheeled away, Tamara wondered if perhaps Donovan West wasn't exactly who he pretended to be. The following weekend, Tamara brought Marcus to stay. The room had been transformed. A small bed with shark-patterned sheets, a bookshelf with children's books, even a small desk with crayons and paper. "Is this all for me?" Marcus asked in wonder. "Just for the weekends," Tamara reminded him. That evening, as she tucked Marcus into bed, she heard Donovan in the hallway. "Is he settled?" he asked when she emerged. "Yes, he loves the room, thank you." Donovan nodded. "I'd like to ask a favor." "Of course." "The physical therapy exercises Helen left for the weekend. I usually skip them, but he looked uncomfortable. Would you mind assisting me with them tonight? It was the first time he'd asked for help rather than demanded it. Not at all. In the small gym off the master bedroom, Tamara helped Donovan with his exercises. His left arm had limited mobility, and his right leg caused him obvious pain. How long ago was your accident? She asked, then immediately regretted it. I'm sorry. You don't like to talk about it. To her surprise, he answered, 18 months. Drunk driver. He walked away without a scratch. I'm sorry. Don't be. I was an ass before the accident. Now I just have an excuse. Tamara laughed and Donovan looked startled, as if the sound was foreign to him. You should do that more often, he said quietly. Do what? Laugh. Their eyes met, and for a moment, something unspoken passed between them. Then Donovan cleared his throat. That's enough for tonight. Thank you. The next morning, Tamara found Donovan in the kitchen with Marcus. Her son was chattering away about sharks while Donovan made notes with his good hand. What's happening here? She asked. Mr. Donovan is helping me with my shark project, Marcus explained. Did you know some sharks don't have to keep swimming to breathe? Mr. Donovan knows lots about sharks. Does he now? Tamara raised an eyebrow at her employer. I did some reading last night, Donovan admitted. Your son has questions. Lots of questions. He always has, Tamara said with a smile. As the weeks passed, a routine developed. During the week, Tamara and Donovan maintained their professional relationship, though the sharp edges began to soften. He no longer snapped when she entered a room. She found herself humming as she folded his laundry. Small changes, barely noticeable. On weekends, Marcus filled the house with laughter. Donovan, to Tamara's ongoing surprise, seemed to genuinely enjoy her son's company. He helped Marcus with puzzles, using his one good hand to hold pieces while Marcus placed them. He read to him in the evenings, his deep voice bringing stories to life. One night after Marcus had gone to bed, Tamara found Donovan on the back porch staring at the stars. Thank you, she said, sitting in the chair beside him. For what? For being kind to my son. Donovan was quiet for a long time. He makes it easy. He doesn't look at me and see this. He gestured to his wheelchair. Neither do I, Tamara said softly. Donovan turned to her, his eyes searching hers. What do you see then? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. I see someone who's hurting, she answered honestly, but still fighting. Is that why you stay, Pity? No. Tamara shook her head firmly. I stay because this job feeds my son, and because, she hesitated, because sometimes, on good days, I think maybe we help each other. Donovan looked away. I don't know how to have good days anymore. Sure you do, Tamara said. I saw you smiling while you were reading to Marcus yesterday. He's a good kid. Yes, he is. They sat in comfortable silence until Tamara stood to go inside. As she reached the door, Donovan spoke again. My physical therapist is leaving, moving to Chicago. I'm sorry to hear that. I'd like you to take over those duties. I'll increase your pay, of course. Tamara turned back. Are you worried I'm planning to leave? Something vulnerable flashed across his face. Are you? No, she said. But don't pay me to stay, Donovan. Just ask me, like a person. It was the first time she'd used his first name, and they both noticed. He looked startled, then gave a small nod. Tamara, he said, her name sounding different in his voice. Would you consider taking on the additional responsibilities? She smiled. Yes, I will. That night, as Tamara checked on Marcus one last time, she found herself wondering about the man down the hall. The man whose cold exterior was starting to crack, revealing glimpses of someone she hadn't expected to find. Someone who made her feel things she'd promised herself she would never feel again. Dangerous, she whispered to herself. This wasn't part of the deal. But as she drifted off to sleep, she couldn't help wondering what else might not be part of the deal, and whether that might be the best part of all. The next morning, Tamara woke to the sound of a car pulling up the driveway. From her window, she watched as a sleek black Mercedes parked in front of the house. A tall, distinguished man in an expensive suit stepped out, followed by a woman in designer clothes, her blonde hair perfectly styled. Something told Tamara that Donovan's carefully controlled world was about to be disrupted, and that nothing would be the same after today. Tamara quickly dressed and went to check on Marcus, who was still sound asleep. She gently closed his door and hurried to the kitchen to start breakfast, her mind racing with questions about the visitors. She was setting up the coffee maker when she heard voices from the front hall. One of them, Donovan's, raised in a way she'd never heard before. You can't just show up unannounced, Richard, Donovan was saying. It's been 6 months since your last check-in, replied a deep, authoritative voice. The board is concerned. The board? Or just you? Tamara hesitated, not wanting to eavesdrop, but worried about Donovan. She busied herself with breakfast preparations as the voices moved closer. "Donovan, be reasonable," came a woman's voice, smooth as silk but with a sharp edge. "You can't hide away forever, people are talking." The kitchen door swung open, and Donovan wheeled in, his face tight with anger. Behind him came the couple Tamara had seen from her window. The man tall and imposing with silver hair, the woman blonde and elegant, both wearing expressions of practiced concern that didn't reach their eyes. They stopped short when they saw Tamara. "Who is this?" the woman asked, giving Tamara a dismissive glance. "Tamara Blake, my caregiver," Donovan said, his voice clipped. "Tamara, this is my brother, Richard West, and his wife, Victoria." Tamara nodded politely. "Good morning. Would you like some coffee?" "That won't be necessary," Victoria said. "We need to speak with Donovan privately." "Actually," Donovan countered, "Tamara stays. She works for me, not you." Richard's eyebrows rose. "Very well. Coffee would be appreciated, Ms. Blake." As Tamara poured coffee, she felt Victoria's calculating gaze on her. "So you're the new caregiver," Victoria said. "How long have you been working for my brother-in-law?" "About 2 months now," Tamara answered. "Longer than the others," Victoria remarked. "How interesting." Before Tamara could respond, a small voice called from the doorway. "Mama?" All eyes turned to Marcus, standing in his pajamas, clutching his stuffed shark. Victoria's eyes widened. "You have a child living here?" "Just on weekends," Tamara said quickly, moving to Marcus's side. "Marcus, say good morning to Mr. West's family." "Good morning," Marcus said shyly. "Are you Mr. Donovan's brother? He told me about you." Richard looked surprised. "Did he now? What did he say?" "That you're very busy with important business stuff," Marcus replied innocently. A small smile played at Donovan's lips. "Marcus, why don't you and your mother have breakfast in the sunroom this morning? I need to talk with my family." Tamara nodded, grateful for the escape. "Come on, baby. Let's get you some breakfast." As they left, she heard Victoria say, "A child, Donovan, really? This isn't a daycare center." In the sunroom, Tamara tried to focus on feeding Marcus, but her mind was on Donovan. Something about his family's unexpected visit felt wrong. "Mama, why did that lady look at us funny?" Marcus asked, picking at his pancakes. "Sometimes adults have funny looks on their faces when they're surprised," Tamara explained, choosing her words carefully. "She didn't look nice like Mr. Donovan." Tamara smiled at her son's perception. "People can be complicated, baby." After breakfast, Tamara sent Marcus to get dressed while she cleared the dishes. As she passed the study, she heard the conversation inside growing heated. "The company needs leadership, Donovan," Richard was saying. "The shareholders are getting nervous. Your extended absence is affecting stock prices." "I founded that company," Donovan replied. "It can survive without me physically being there." "It's been a year and a half," Victoria cut in. "People are starting to wonder if you'll ever return. And if I don't?" A heavy silence followed. "Then the board will have to consider other options," Richard said finally. "Permanent options." "You mean replacing me?" "It's business, Donovan, nothing personal." "It feels very personal from where I'm sitting," Donovan said, his voice cold, "especially considering the timing of your visit coincides with the Mercer acquisition." "That's unfair," Richard protested, but there was something in his tone that made Tamara suspicious. "Is it? You've been after that deal for years." "We're worried about you," Victoria said, her voice suddenly gentle. "Living out here alone with only hired help. It's not healthy." "I'm not alone. I have Tamara, and a caregiver and her child are not family, Donovan," Victoria interrupted. "You need proper care. We've looked into several excellent facilities." "Facilities?" Donovan's voice hardened. "You want to put me in a nursing home?" "A rehabilitation center," Richard corrected. "The best in the country. You'd have top medical care, therapy, everything you need. Everything except my freedom. Be reasonable. Your condition..." "My condition is not your concern." Tamara moved away from the door, her heart pounding. They wanted to send Donovan away, to take control of his company. She needed to warn him. She found Marcus in the garden, looking at the koi pond Donovan had recently cleaned and restocked. The fish darted about, bright splashes of orange and white in the clear water. "Mr. Donovan said I can feed them later," Marcus told her excitedly. "That's nice, baby." Tamara's mind was elsewhere. "Is something wrong, Mama?" Tamara smiled, always amazed at her son's sensitivity. "No, honey, just grown-up things." The front door slammed, and Tamara looked up to see Richard and Victoria storming to their car. Richard's face was flushed with anger. Victoria's set in a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. As they drove away, Tamara took Marcus inside. She found Donovan in his study, staring out the window, his good hand clenched into a fist. "Marcus, why don't you go read one of your new books?" Tamara suggested. "I need to talk to Mr. Donovan." When Marcus had gone, Tamara approached Donovan cautiously. "Are you okay?" "They want to put me away," he said without turning, "like some broken piece of furniture that doesn't match the decor anymore." "I heard," Tamara admitted. "I wasn't trying to listen, but it doesn't matter." Donovan finally looked at her, his eyes haunted. "They're right, in a way. What am I doing here, half a man hiding from the world?" "Don't say that," Tamara said sharply. "You're not half anything. Look at me, Tamara." He gestured to his wheelchair, his useless arm. "I used to run marathons. I used to close million-dollar deals before lunch. Now I can't even shower without help." "So what?" Tamara challenged. "You think having a working body makes someone whole? I've known plenty of fully abled people who were empty inside." Donovan stared at her, surprised by her outburst. "My ex-husband could walk just fine," she continued, her voice quieter now. "He used those working legs to kick in our bathroom door when I locked myself inside. He used those perfect hands to leave bruises no one could see." Donovan's expression changed. "Tamara, I'm not telling you this for pity," she said quickly. "I'm telling you because being whole isn't about your body. It's about what you choose to do with whatever you have." She stepped closer, her eyes locked with his. "Your family sees limitations. I see a man who taught himself to write with his non-dominant hand so he could help a 5-year-old with his shark project. That doesn't seem like half a man to me." Donovan was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, "Thank you." Tamara nodded. "Now, are you going to tell me what's really going on with your family and this company of yours?" Donovan sighed. "You might want to sit down. It's a long story." Over the next hour, Donovan explained how he'd built West Investments from nothing, how his innovative approach had made it one of the fastest-growing financial firms in the South. Richard had joined later, bringing connections and old money, but never the same drive or vision. "After the accident, I needed time," Donovan explained. "The doctors weren't sure if I'd ever regain function in my left arm or walk again. I couldn't face the board, the clients, the pity. So you stepped back. Temporarily. Richard took over as interim CEO. It was supposed to be for 6 months. But now he doesn't want to give it back," Tamara guessed. Donovan nodded. "There's a major acquisition on the table. Mercer Technologies. I've been opposing it. The company culture doesn't align with ours and their financials are suspicious. Richard wants it badly. Why? Personal gain. The Mercers would give him a significant payout for pushing the deal through." "That's illegal, isn't it?" "It's a gray area," Donovan said grimly, "and hard to prove without evidence." "So what will you do?" Donovan ran his hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration Tamara had come to recognize. "I don't know. The board meets next Friday to vote on the acquisition and—" He hesitated. And to discuss my future with the company. Richard has convinced several members that my condition makes me unfit to return." Tamara felt a surge of anger. "That's discrimination." "It's business," Donovan said, echoing his brother's words with a bitter smile. "It's wrong," Tamara insisted, "and you need to fight it." Before Donovan could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway holding a book. "Mr. Donovan, can you read to me now? You promised." Donovan's expression softened. "I did promise, didn't I? Come here, buddy." As Marcus climbed onto the couch next to Donovan's wheelchair, Tamara watched the way her son naturally adjusted to Donovan's limitations, placing the book where they could both see it, turning the pages when needed. There was no pity, no awkwardness, just acceptance. "I'll let you two have your reading time," she said, heading for the door. "Tamara," Donovan called after her, "thank you for what you said." She smiled, just telling the truth. Over the next few days, Tamara noticed a change in Donovan. He spent more time on his laptop, made phone calls in his study with the door closed, and even asked her to drive him to his lawyer's office in the city. "Are you going to fight your brother?" she asked on the drive back. "Yes," Donovan said simply. "I'm done hiding." When they arrived home, Tamara found a message from Loretta. Her sister had fallen and sprained her ankle. She wouldn't be able to watch Marcus during the week for at least a month. Panic set in. Tamara couldn't afford to quit, but she had nowhere for Marcus to stay. That evening, after Marcus was in bed, she approached Donovan in his study. "I need to talk to you about something important." Donovan looked up from his computer. "What's wrong?" Tamara explained the situation, her heart heavy. "I'll need to find another arrangement for Marcus or—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "Or you'll have to leave," Donovan completed for her. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Bring him here." "What?" "Bring Marcus here during the week. He can stay in the room he already uses on weekends." "But the contract can be amended." Donovan's voice was firm. "I don't want you to leave, Tamara." The simple statement hung in the air between them, loaded with meaning neither of them was ready to address. "What about your work?" Tamara asked. "You said you needed quiet." "I've been quiet for too long," Donovan replied. "Maybe a little noise is exactly what I need." Relief washed over her. "Thank you. I don't know how to repay you." "You already have," Donovan said softly. "More than you know." The following Monday, Tamara enrolled Marcus in the local elementary school. The bus stop was at the end of Donovan's long driveway, and for the first time, Tamara felt like she could breathe. Her son was safe, she had a good job, and Donovan was becoming something she hadn't expected. Not just an employer, not just a friend, something more complex and frightening. As the week progressed, Tamara helped Donovan prepare for the board meeting. They worked late into the evenings, going over financial reports and strategic plans. Donovan was determined to prove he was still capable of leading his company. "You're good at this," he remarked one night as she helped him organize his presentation. "The financial analysis." Tamara shrugged. "I was studying accounting before I got married. Never finished." "Why not?" She was quiet for a moment. "He didn't want me to. Said a wife's place was at home." "And after you left him?" "After I left, it was all about survival. Working 2 jobs, raising Marcus." She smiled ruefully. "Dreams had to wait." Donovan studied her face. "They don't have to wait forever." The night before the board meeting, Tamara found Donovan on the back porch again, staring at the stars. She sat beside him, comfortable in the silence they'd come to share. "Nervous about tomorrow?" she asked finally. "Terrified," he admitted. "It's been a long time since I faced a room full of people who are judging me. They'd be fools to underestimate you." Donovan turned to her. "Would you come with me tomorrow?" Tamara blinked in surprise. "To the board meeting? Why?" "Because I'm stronger when you're around," he said simply. "I can't explain it, but it's true." The honesty in his voice made her breath catch. "Donovan, you don't have to answer now," he said quickly. "Think about it." Later that night, as Tamara checked on Marcus one last time, she found herself torn. Going to the meeting meant crossing a line, becoming more involved in Donovan's life in a way that wasn't part of her job description. It was dangerous. She'd promised herself after leaving her ex that she would never depend on a man again, never put herself or Marcus in a vulnerable position. But Donovan wasn't her ex. He'd shown her nothing but respect, kindness to her son, and a strength that had nothing to do with physical ability. She made her decision. The next morning, Tamara wore her best outfit, a simple navy dress she'd bought for job interviews. She arranged for Marcus to go home with a school friend after school and helped Donovan dress in a sharp suit that transformed him from recluse to executive in an instant. "You look like a CEO," she told him as she straightened his tie. "And you look beautiful," he replied, his eyes holding hers for a moment too long. The drive to the West Investments headquarters in downtown Baton Rouge was quiet, both of them lost in thought. The imposing glass building reflected the morning sun as they pulled into the reserved parking space that still bore Donovan's name. "Ready?" Tamara asked as she helped him into his wheelchair. Donovan took a deep breath. "As I'll ever be." The receptionist's jaw dropped when Donovan wheeled through the front doors. Whispers followed them as they made their way to the elevator, but Donovan kept his head high, nodding to familiar faces with the confidence of a man who belonged. "Mr. West," a young woman rushed forward. "We had no idea you were coming in today." "Hello, Alicia," Donovan greeted his former assistant. "I believe the board is expecting me." "Yes, sir. They're assembling now." Alicia's eyes darted to Tamara questioningly. "This is Tamara Blake," Donovan introduced. "She'll be joining us for the meeting." Alicia looked surprised but quickly recovered. "Of course, right this way." The boardroom fell silent as Donovan wheeled in, Tamara following close behind. Richard, at the head of the table, froze mid-sentence. Victoria, seated nearby, narrowed her eyes at Tamara. "Donovan," Richard recovered first, "we weren't expecting you in person." "Clearly," Donovan replied dryly. "Yet here I am, ready to discuss the future of my company." "Our company," Richard corrected, his smile tight. "Indeed. Miss Blake, please take a seat there." Donovan indicated a chair next to his place at the table. "Gentlemen, ladies, shall we begin?" What followed was the most impressive display of leadership Tamara had ever witnessed. Donovan presented his analysis of the Mercer acquisition, pointing out hidden liabilities and conflicts of interest that made the deal questionable at best, fraudulent at worst. Richard attempted to interrupt several times, but Donovan commanded the room with his knowledge, his insight, and his unwavering conviction. In conclusion, Donovan said, this acquisition would benefit a few individuals at the expense of our company's long-term stability and ethical standing. I recommend we vote no. A stunned silence followed. You've been out of the loop for over a year, Richard finally said, his voice tight with anger. You can't just wheel in here and expect to overturn months of negotiation. Actually, I can, Donovan replied calmly. I still own controlling interest in this company. I've been out of the loop by choice, not inability. Your condition, Richard began. My condition affects my body, not my mind, Donovan cut him off, unless you'd like to argue that point in court where it would constitute discrimination. Victoria leaned forward. Donovan, be reasonable. Your recovery should be your priority. The stress of running the company is exactly what I need, Donovan finished. Purpose, challenge, the life I built. One of the older board members cleared his throat. I think we need to put this to a vote. All in favor of proceeding with the Mercer acquisition? Richard's hand shot up, followed by Victoria's and 2 others. 6 hands remained down. All opposed? Donovan raised his hand, followed by 5 others. The motion is defeated, the board member announced. Now, regarding leadership, I'd like to propose a transition period, Donovan said smoothly. Richard has been handling day-to-day operations. I suggest we continue that arrangement for 3 months while I reintegrate, after which I will resume full CEO responsibilities. Richard's face flushed with anger. This is outrageous. You can't possibly fulfill those duties in your condition. Watch me, Donovan said, his voice steel. The vote was close, but Donovan's proposal passed. As the meeting adjourned, board members came forward to welcome him back, many seeming genuinely pleased to see him. Richard and Victoria left without a word, their faces stormy. That was amazing, Tamara said, as they rode the elevator down. You were amazing. Donovan looked exhausted but satisfied. I couldn't have done it without you. I didn't do anything except sit there. You did everything, he said, his eyes sincere. You made me believe I could. Outside, as Tamara helped Donovan into the car, a reporter approached with a photographer in tow. Mr. West, is it true you're returning to West Investments? How has your recovery been? Donovan hesitated, then straightened in his wheelchair. Yes, I'm returning. My recovery is ongoing, but I'm ready to lead again. And who is this? The reporter asked, nodding toward Tamara. Donovan glanced at her, something unreadable in his eyes. This is Tamara Blake. She's essential to my recovery. The photographer snapped a picture as Tamara helped Donovan into the car, capturing a moment of simple cooperation between them. Neither noticed Richard watching from the lobby, his face dark with resentment. That evening, after picking up Marcus from his friend's house, Tamara found Donovan in his study, on the phone with his lawyer. He ended the call when she entered. Everything okay? She asked. Better than okay, Donovan said, smiling. We did it, Tamara. We really did it. You did it, she corrected. I'm proud of you. Donovan wheeled closer to her. There's something I want to ask you. Tamara's heart skipped. Yes? Now that I'm going back to work, I'll need more help. Different help. He seemed nervous suddenly. I'd like to offer you a new position as my personal assistant. Tamara blinked. Your assistant? The pay would be significantly better. You'd come with me to the office some days, work from here others. It would mean more responsibility, but also more opportunity. He paused. You said you were studying accounting. This could be a path back to that. Tamara didn't know what to say. Part of her was thrilled at the opportunity, the recognition of her abilities beyond caregiving. Another part was wary. This would entangle her life with Donovan's even more deeply. What about your care needs? She asked. I can hire someone else for that. You're capable of so much more, Tamara. I've seen it. Before she could respond, Marcus burst into the room excited about his day at school. Mr. Donovan, I told my teacher about the sharks and she said I was super smart. Donovan's face lit up. That's because you are super smart, buddy. Tamara watched them together, her son and this man who had come to mean so much to both of them. The line between employer and something else had blurred beyond recognition. Can we think about it? She asked finally. It's a big change. Of course, Donovan agreed. Take all the time you need. That night, after Marcus was asleep, Tamara sat on her bed, weighing her options. The new position would mean financial security, a chance to use her mind, to grow, but it would also mean getting closer to Donovan, a man who made her feel things she'd sworn never to feel again. A soft knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it to find Donovan there, holding a small box. "I should have given you this earlier," he said. "Consider it a thank you for today." Tamara took the box and opened it. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm, a shark. "Donovan, this is too much. It's not enough," he said quietly. "You brought life back into this house, Tamara. Into me." Their eyes met, and for a moment, Tamara thought he might say more. Instead, he wheeled back slightly. "Good night," he said softly, "and thank you for everything." As he turned to go, Tamara called after him. "Donovan." He looked back. "I'll take the job." His smile was worth any risk. The next morning, Tamara was preparing breakfast when her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Hello? Is this Tamara Blake?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes. Who's this?" "My name is Diane Mercer. I believe we need to talk about Donovan West." Tamara's blood ran cold. "What about him?" "About what he's hiding," Diane said, "and why you should be very careful about getting too close to him." Tamara's hand tightened on the phone. "I'm listening." "I think you have the wrong idea about Donovan," Tamara said, keeping her voice low so she wouldn't be overheard. "I work for him. That's all." "Is it?" Diane Mercer's voice was silky smooth, with an undercurrent of something dangerous. "The way he looked at you at that board meeting suggested otherwise." Tamara's grip tightened on her phone. "Were you there?" "I have eyes everywhere, Ms. Blake, especially when it comes to Donovan West." "What do you want?" "To warn you. Donovan isn't the man you think he is." "And who exactly do I think he is?" Tamara challenged. "A victim. A good man dealt a bad hand." Diane laughed softly. "He's very good at playing that role." "I'm not interested in gossip, Ms. Mercer." "It's not gossip when it's the truth. Did he tell you about the accident, the whole truth?" Tamara hesitated. "He said it was a drunk driver." "Did he mention the drunk driver was his fiancée? Or that she was drinking because she'd just discovered he was having an affair with his brother's wife?" Tamara's heart pounded. "I don't believe you." "Of course you don't. You've fallen for the wounded hero act, they all do." "They? You're not the first caregiver to fall for him, Ms. Blake, just the latest. Ask him about Melissa. Or don't, he probably erased all evidence of her existence, just like the others." Before Tamara could respond, she heard footsteps approaching the kitchen. "I have to go." "Think about your son, Ms. Blake," Diane said quickly. "Children get attached so easily. When Donovan gets bored with you, what happens to your little boy? Call me when you're ready to hear the whole story." The line went dead just as Donovan wheeled into the kitchen. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing her expression. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Tamara forced a smile. "Just a telemarketer. Nothing important." She turned back to the stove. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in months," Donovan admitted. "It feels good to have a purpose again." As they ate breakfast with Marcus, Tamara tried to focus on their conversation, but Diane Mercer's words kept echoing in her mind. Was she just trying to cause trouble because of the failed acquisition, or was there truth to her claims? After dropping Marcus at school, Tamara drove Donovan to his office. It was his first full day back at West Investments, and despite her inner turmoil, she felt proud of him as employees welcomed him with genuine warmth. "Mr. West, it's so good to have you back," Alicia greeted them, handing Donovan a stack of files. "These need your signature when you have a moment." "Thank you, Alicia. This is Tamara Blake, my new personal assistant. She'll need access to all systems and files." Alicia's smile faltered slightly as she glanced at Tamara. "Of course. I'll set that up right away." Throughout the morning, Tamara helped Donovan settle back into his role, taking notes during meetings, organizing his schedule, and acting as a buffer between him and the constant stream of people wanting to see him. By lunch, she was exhausted, but impressed by how easily Donovan had stepped back into leadership. His disability seemed to fade into the background as his intelligence and charisma commanded respect. "You're a natural at this," Donovan told her as they ate lunch in his office. "I knew you would be. It's different from changing sheets and administering medication," Tamara admitted with a small smile. "You were always more than a caregiver to me," Donovan said quietly, his eyes meeting hers. The intensity of his gaze made her look away. "Donovan, there's something I need to ask you." Before she could continue, Richard burst into the office without knocking. "We need to talk," he demanded, glaring at Donovan. "Alone." Donovan's expression hardened. "Anything you have to say can be said in front of Tamara." Richard's eyes flicked to her with barely concealed contempt. "Fine. The Mercers are threatening to sue for breach of contract. They're claiming we led them on about the acquisition." We had no binding agreement, Donovan replied calmly. Their claim has no merit. They're also spreading rumors. About you. About the accident. Tamara felt her heart skip a beat. What about the accident? Donovan asked, his voice suddenly tight. Richard glanced at Tamara again. Old history being dredged up. Diane Mercer is particularly vocal. Let her talk, Donovan said dismissively. It's all lies anyway. Is it? Richard challenged. All of it? The brothers stared at each other, years of unspoken tension hanging between them. Tamara, would you excuse us for a moment? Donovan finally said. Of course. She gathered her things and left, closing the door behind her. In the hallway, she found Alicia waiting with a sympathetic expression. They always fight like that, Alicia said, nodding toward the closed door. Ever since the accident. What do you know about the accident? Tamara asked before she could stop herself. Alicia looked surprised by the question. Not much. It was terrible. Mr. West was driving, lost control on a curve. His fiancée was in the passenger seat. She didn't make it. Tamara felt like the floor had dropped from beneath her feet. His fiancée died in the accident. Yes. Diane Mercer's sister Elena. Didn't he tell you? Before Tamara could respond, the office door opened and Richard stormed out, his face flushed with anger. He brushed past them without a word. Donovan appeared in the doorway looking exhausted. Tamara, I think we're done for today. Can we head home? The drive back was silent. Donovan staring out the window, lost in thought. Tamara wanted to ask about Elena, about Diane's accusations, but something held her back. Not here, not now. When they arrived home, Donovan went straight to his study and closed the door. Tamara busied herself with household tasks until it was time to pick up Marcus from school. How was your day, baby? She asked as he climbed into the car. Good. We learned about dinosaurs. Marcus chatted happily about school all the way home. When they arrived, Marcus ran inside, calling for Donovan. Tamara followed more slowly, her mind still churning with questions. She found them in the living room, Marcus showing Donovan a drawing he'd made of a dinosaur. That's a great T-Rex, Donovan was saying, examining the picture with exaggerated seriousness. You've got the teeth just right. It's for you, Marcus said proudly, to put in your office. I'll hang it right behind my desk where everyone can see it, Donovan promised, his face soft with genuine affection. Watching them, Tamara felt a pang in her heart. Whatever the truth was about Donovan's past, his care for Marcus was real. That much she was certain of. After dinner, when Marcus was engrossed in a movie, Tamara found Donovan in his study, reviewing documents. Can we talk? She asked, closing the door behind her. Donovan looked up, something guarded in his expression. Of course. I got a phone call this morning from Diane Mercer. Donovan's face hardened. What did she want? To warn me about you. Tamara took a deep breath. She said some things about the accident, about your fiancé. Donovan was silent for a long moment. Then, how much did she tell you? That her sister was your fiancé? That she was the one driving? That there was an affair? Donovan closed his eyes briefly. Of course she'd twist it that way. What's the truth then? He wheeled away from his desk toward the window. Elena was my fiancée. We'd been engaged for 6 months. The night of the accident, we'd had a fight. She thought I was having an affair with Victoria. Were you? No. Donovan's voice was firm. Victoria had made advances, but I'd rejected them. Elena didn't believe me. She'd been drinking, was upset. I was driving, trying to get her home safely. He turned back to face Tamara, his eyes haunted. A dog ran into the road. I swerved. The car hit a tree. When I woke up in the hospital 3 days later, Elena was gone and I was like this. He gestured to his paralyzed leg, his useless arm. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to look at me the way you're looking at me now, he said quietly. With pity. It's not pity, Tamara protested. Then what is it? Hurt. That you didn't trust me enough to tell me. Donovan sighed. There's more to the story. After the accident, Richard and Victoria took control while I was recovering. They pushed the narrative that I'd been the one drinking, that my recklessness had killed Elena. It was easier for everyone to believe the Playboy CEO had finally gone too far. That's terrible, Tamara said, her heart aching for him. What's terrible is that I let them, Donovan admitted. I was so consumed with guilt over Eleanor's death that I didn't fight back. I retreated here, let the world think what it wanted. And Diane, why is she so determined to warn me away from you? Eleanor was her younger sister. She blames me for her death. In her mind, if I hadn't been fighting with Elena about Victoria, she wouldn't have been drinking that night. Tamara moved closer to him. It was an accident, Donovan. A tragic accident. Try telling that to Diane, or to myself at 3 a.m. when I wake up reliving it. He ran his hand through his hair. There's one more thing. About the caregivers. Tamara tensed. What about them? Diane said I've gone through many. That's true, but not for the reasons she implied. Donovan met her eyes directly. I was a difficult patient, Tamara. Angry, bitter, lashing out. The first few caregivers quit within days. The others lasted a few weeks at most. None of them. He hesitated. None of them what? None of them were you, he said simply. None of them saw past the wheelchair, past the anger. None of them challenged me to be better. Tamara didn't know what to say. The raw honesty in his voice touched something deep inside her. I understand if you want to leave, Donovan continued. If you don't want Marcus around me anymore. Is that what you think of me? Tamara asked quietly. That I'd run at the first sign of complication. Most people do. I'm not most people. She took his hand in hers. I've never been looking for perfect, Donovan. Just real. The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken emotions. Then Marcus called from the living room, breaking the spell. Movie's over, Mama. Tamara squeezed Donovan's hand once before letting go. We should get him ready for bed. That night, after tucking Marcus in, Tamara sat on her bed, trying to process everything she'd learned. Donovan's story rang true, but Diane's warning still nagged at her. Was she letting her feelings cloud her judgment? Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ask him about the insurance money. DM. Tamara deleted the message, determined not to let Diane's poison seep into the tentative trust she and Donovan were building. The next morning, she found Donovan already dressed for the office, helping Marcus with breakfast. I can make pancakes with one hand, he was saying, demonstrating his technique, while Marcus watched in fascination. That's so cool, Marcus exclaimed. Can I try? Maybe when you're a bit older, Donovan laughed. Morning, Tamara. Morning, she replied, taking in the domestic scene with a mixture of warmth and caution. You're up early. Big day. The transition team is meeting at 9. After dropping Marcus at school, they headed to the office. The morning passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. Donovan was fully engaged, his strategic mind impressing everyone, including Tamara. During a brief break, Alicia stopped by Tamara's new desk outside Donovan's office. He's different with you, Alicia observed. Lighter, somehow. We work well together, Tamara said carefully. Alicia smiled knowingly. It's more than that, and everyone can see it. She lowered her voice. Just be careful. Victoria's on the warpath. She doesn't like you having so much influence with him. I don't have influence, I just do my job. Keep telling yourself that, Alicia replied with a wink before walking away. Later that afternoon, Tamara was organizing files when she came across a folder labeled Elena Mercer, Insurance Settlement. Her hand hesitated over it, Diane's text flashing in her mind. Before she could decide whether to open it, Victoria appeared in the doorway. Well, the caregiver playing secretary. Her voice dripped with disdain. Tamara straightened. I'm Donovan's personal assistant now, Mrs. West. Is there something I can help you with? You can help by knowing your place, Victoria said, stepping closer. Donovan may be charmed by your domestic qualities, but this is a business, a family business. And you're looking out for family interests? Tamara countered, thinking of Richard's machinations. Victoria's perfect smile didn't reach her eyes. Always. That's why I'm here to invite Donovan to dinner tonight. At our home. A family dinner. I'll let him know when he's out of his meeting. No need, I'll wait. Victoria settled into a chair, her expensive perfume filling the small office. So, Tamara, tell me about yourself. How does a single mother with no qualifications end up as the right hand of a CEO? Before Tamara could respond, Donovan wheeled into the office. He stopped short when he saw Victoria. Victoria, this is unexpected. I came to invite you to dinner tonight. Richard wants to clear the air after yesterday. Donovan's expression was skeptical. Does he now? Family shouldn't fight, Donovan, especially not with the Mercer situation heating up. What do you mean, heating up? Victoria examined her manicured nails. Diane Mercer was at the country club last night, telling anyone who would listen about Elena, about the accident, about you. Tamara saw Donovan's jaw tighten. All the more reason to present a united front, Victoria continued. Dinner tonight, 8 o'clock. I can't tonight, Donovan said. I have plans with Tamara and Marcus. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Surely your employee can reschedule. Actually, I can't, Tamara interjected. It's Marcus's school play tonight. Donovan promised to be there. It wasn't a lie. Marcus had a small part as a tree in the school's production, and he'd been talking about it for weeks. Donovan had promised to attend, insisting on buying Marcus a new outfit for the occasion. Victoria looked between them, something calculating in her gaze. I see. Well, family comes first, I suppose. Though I'm surprised you're choosing your caregiver's family over your own. Tamara and Marcus are important to me, Donovan said firmly. Richard can call me tomorrow if he wants to talk. After Victoria left, Donovan sighed. That woman could freeze hell with a glance. She doesn't like me much, Tamara observed. She doesn't like any woman I pay attention to, Donovan replied. Victoria has always had issues with boundaries. Tamara thought about the affair Elena had suspected. She made advances, several times. I rejected them all. It caused problems between Richard and me even before the accident. Donovan shook his head. Enough about Victoria. We should wrap up here if we're going to make it to Marcus's play on time. That evening, sitting in the elementary school auditorium watching Marcus as the proudest tree on stage, Tamara felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in years. Donovan sat beside her in his wheelchair, his face lit with genuine enjoyment as the children performed. He's a natural, Donovan whispered as Marcus delivered his one line perfectly. Got his mother's confidence. Tamara smiled, warmth spreading through her chest at his words. After the play, Marcus ran to them, still wearing his tree costume. Did you see me, Mama? Did you see me, Mr. Donovan? You were the best tree I've ever seen, Donovan told him seriously. Oscar-worthy performance. Marcus beamed. What's Oscar-worthy? It means really, really good, Tamara explained, adjusting his branch headpiece. We're so proud of you, baby. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Marcus asked hopefully. Absolutely, Donovan agreed before Tamara could respond. Every great actor deserves ice cream after a performance. At the ice cream parlor, Tamara watched Donovan and Marcus discussing the merits of different flavors with the seriousness of nuclear scientists. The ease between them, the natural affection, made her heart ache with both joy and fear. This wasn't part of the plan, falling for her employer, letting her son become attached to a man who might not be permanent in their lives. These were risks she'd sworn never to take again. Yet watching Donovan help Marcus with his dripping cone, laughing at the boy's ice cream mustache, she couldn't deny what was happening, what had already happened. Penny for your thoughts, Donovan said, noticing her watching them. Just thinking how good you are with him, Tamara admitted. He makes it easy, Donovan replied, his eyes warm. He's a special kid, Tamara. You've done an amazing job raising him. Thank you, she said softly. That means a lot. Later, after putting an exhausted Marcus to bed, Tamara found Donovan in the living room, a glass of whiskey in his hand. Celebrating the theatrical triumph, she asked, nodding to the drink. Something like that. He offered her a glass, which she accepted, sitting across from him. I enjoyed tonight, Tamara, more than I can say. So did I. She took a sip of the whiskey, letting it warm her throat. It's strange, isn't it? How quickly things change. Good strange or bad strange? I'm still figuring that out, she answered honestly. Donovan nodded thoughtfully. I know this situation is complicated. I'm your employer. There's a power imbalance there that I respect and take seriously. But, Tamara prompted, sensing there was more. But I can't pretend that what I feel for you is just professional appreciation. Donovan's eyes held hers. I tried to keep my distance, to maintain boundaries. But you and Marcus, you've become important to me in ways I never expected. Tamara's heart pounded. Donovan, you don't have to say anything, he interrupted gently. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know where I stand. Whatever happens, whatever you decide, your position here is secure. That's not what I'm worried about, Tamara said. What are you worried about then? She took a deep breath. The last time I let a man into my life, into Marcus's life, it ended badly, very badly. I'm not him, Tamara. I know that. But when you've been burned badly enough, you become afraid of all fires. She looked down at her glass. Marcus is already attached to you. If this doesn't work out, if you change your mind, I won't, Donovan said firmly. You can't promise that. I can promise to always treat you both with respect and kindness, whatever happens between us. He set his glass down. I'm not asking you to leap into anything, Tamara. Just, don't run from the possibility. Before she could respond, Donovan's phone rang. He glanced at it with a frown. It's Richard. At this hour, it must be important. He answered, listening intently, his expression growing more serious by the second. When? He asked. And you're sure it was her? Yes, I understand. No, don't do anything until I get there. I'll be there first thing in the morning." He hung up, his face grim. "What's wrong?" Tamara asked. "Someone broke into the office tonight, specifically my office. The security cameras caught her. It was Diane Mercer. What was she looking for?" "I'm not sure," Donovan said, but something in his voice made Tamara think he had a good idea. "But whatever it is, she didn't find it. Richard said nothing seems to be missing." "Are you going to call the police?" Donovan hesitated. "Not yet. I want to see the security footage first, talk to Diane myself." "Is that wise?" Tamara asked, concerned. "She clearly has it out for you." "She's grieving her sister," Donovan said, a shadow passing over his face. "I owe her at least a conversation before involving the authorities." The next morning they dropped Marcus at school and headed straight to the office. Richard was waiting in the lobby, his face tight with barely contained anger. "She had a keycard," he said without preamble, "a working access card to the executive floor." "Care to explain that, Donovan?" "Let's continue this in my office," Donovan replied, aware of the curious stares from employees arriving for work. Upstairs, Richard played the security footage. Sure enough, it showed Diane Mercer entering Donovan's office at 11:42 p.m., using a key card that granted her immediate access. She spent nearly 20 minutes searching through files and drawers before leaving, apparently empty-handed. "She was looking for something specific," Tamara observed. "The question is what?" Richard demanded. "And how did she get an access card?" Donovan was quiet, studying the footage. "The insurance documents," he said finally. "She was looking for Elena's insurance settlement papers." "Why would she want those after all this time?" Richard asked. "Because I never gave her the full payout," Donovan admitted. "Elena's policy had a clause about alcohol impairment. The insurance company reduced the settlement significantly because she'd been drinking." "And you never told Diane?" Tamara asked, surprised. "I paid the difference myself," Donovan explained. "I told Diane the full amount came from the insurance company. I didn't want her to know about the alcohol clause. It would have just caused her more pain." "Always the noble one," Richard said sarcastically. "And now she's breaking into our offices. We need to press charges." "No," Donovan said firmly. "I'll talk to her first." "This isn't just about you anymore, Donovan," Richard argued. "She compromised company security. Who knows what sensitive information she accessed?" "Give me 24 hours, Donovan insisted. "If I can't resolve this with her, then we'll involve the police." Richard looked like he wanted to argue further, but finally nodded. 24 hours, not a minute more. After Richard left, Tamara turned to Donovan. "You're protecting her. Why?" "Because I understand her anger," Donovan said softly. "If someone had taken Marcus from you, wouldn't you do anything to make sense of it, to find someone to blame?" Tamara thought about her son, about the fierce love she felt for him. "Yes, I would. I need to meet with her," Donovan decided. "Today." "I'm coming with you," Tamara said immediately. Donovan shook his head. "This is between Diane and me. She's already tried to turn me against you. I deserve to hear what she has to say." Donovan considered this, then nodded reluctantly. "All right, but let me do the talking." Diane Mercer agreed to meet them at a small cafe downtown. She was a striking woman in her early 40s, with the same delicate features Elena must have had, though hardened by grief and anger. "I'm surprised you had the courage to face me," she said as Donovan wheeled up to the table, Tamara beside him. "And you brought your latest conquest. How touching." "Diane," Donovan acknowledged, ignoring the barb. "We need to talk about last night." "Did you get my message?" Diane asked Tamara directly. "About the insurance money?" "I deleted it," Tamara replied calmly. "Whatever you have to say it to both of us." Diane's eyes narrowed. "Fine. Donovan lied about the insurance settlement. Elena's policy was worth twice what he paid me." "I didn't lie about the total amount," Donovan countered. "I paid the difference myself when the insurance company reduced the settlement." "Because of the alcohol," Diane said bitterly. "Because you got my sister drunk and then crashed the car." "I didn't get her drunk, Diane. She'd been drinking before I picked her up, you know that. Because she was upset about you and Victoria." "Nothing ever happened between Victoria and me," Donovan insisted. "Elena believed rumors that weren't true." "Then why did you hide the insurance documents?" Diane demanded. "Why keep secrets if you have nothing to hide?" "To protect Elena's memory," Donovan said quietly. "I didn't want the last thing people remembered about her to be that she was drunk the night she died." Diane seemed taken aback by this answer. For a moment, her carefully constructed anger faltered. "I loved her, Diane," Donovan continued. "Despite our problems, despite the fight we had that night, I loved her. I've lived with the guilt of her death every day for the past 18 months. If that's true, Diane said, her voice slightly less hostile, then why are you moving on so quickly? She looked pointedly at Tamara. Elena wouldn't have wanted me to stop living, Donovan said. You knew her better than anyone. She lived life fully, embraced every moment. She would have hated seeing me withdraw from the world. Tears filled Diane's eyes for the first time. She had so many plans, so many dreams. I know, Donovan said gently, and losing her was a tragedy. But breaking into my office, threatening Tamara, that won't bring Eleanor back. Diane wiped away a tear angrily. What are you going to do? Call the police? No, Donovan said, but I am asking you to stop. Stop harassing my employees. Stop spreading rumors. Let Elena rest in peace. And if I don't, then you force my hand, Donovan said simply, and neither of us wants that. Diane was quiet for a long moment. Then, the insurance documents, I want to see them. All of them. I'll have copies sent to you, Donovan agreed. Full transparency. Diane looked at Tamara. You think you know him? You don't. Not yet. I know enough, Tamara replied steadily. I know he's a good man trying to rebuild his life after a tragedy. I know he treats my son with kindness and respect. The rest, she glanced at Donovan, the rest we'll figure out together. Something in Diane's expression shifted, recognition perhaps of the genuine feeling between them. Just be careful, she said, her voice softer now. Elena thought she knew him too. With that she stood and left, her expensive perfume lingering in the air behind her. Do you think she'll stop? Tamara asked as they watched her go. I hope so, Donovan sighed, for everyone's sake. Back at the office, Donovan instructed Alicia to send the complete insurance file to Diane. Then he and Tamara spent the afternoon in meetings, both of them trying to focus on work despite the emotional morning. At the end of the day, as they were preparing to leave, Richard appeared in Donovan's doorway. How did it go with Diane? He asked. As well as could be expected, Donovan replied. I think she'll back off now. Richard nodded. Good, because we have another problem. What now? The board is calling an emergency meeting. Tomorrow morning. Richard's expression was grim. Victoria's been talking to some of the members, raising concerns about your personal involvement with an employee. Donovan's face hardened. My personal life is none of the board's business. It is when you're putting an unqualified single mother in a position of power within the company, Richard countered. At least, that's Victoria's argument. Tamara is more than qualified for her role, Donovan said firmly. I agree, Richard surprised them by saying. But Victoria's planted the seed, and now several board members are questioning your judgment. They're saying your accident affected more than just your body. What exactly are you suggesting, Richard? Donovan asked, his voice dangerously quiet. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm warning you. Victoria is pushing for a competency evaluation, a formal assessment of your fitness to lead the company. She can't do that, Tamara protested. Actually, she can, Richard said, with enough board support. And right now she has at least 3 members leaning her way. Why are you telling me this? Donovan asked suspiciously. You wanted me out of the company just as much as she does. Richard looked uncomfortable. That was before I saw you in action at the board meeting. You're still the best person to run this company, Donovan, despite everything between us. And what about your wife? Donovan challenged. Are you finally willing to stand up to Victoria? I'm here, aren't I? Richard replied, giving you a heads up. After Richard left, Donovan slammed his fist on the desk in frustration. Victoria won't stop until she destroys everything I've built. What can we do? Tamara asked. I need to talk to the board members before tomorrow's meeting. Remind them why they trusted me to lead this company in the first place. And what about us? Tamara asked quietly. If our relationship is the issue, don't, Donovan interrupted. Don't suggest stepping back or resigning. That's exactly what Victoria wants. But if it's hurting your position, then it's a problem with the board, not with us, Donovan insisted. I won't let Victoria dictate my personal life. Not again. Tamara was touched by his conviction, but worry nagged at her. What happens if they vote for this competency evaluation? Then I'll take it and pass it, Donovan said confidently, because there's nothing wrong with my judgment, especially when it comes to you. That evening, after picking up Marcus from school, they returned home to find an unexpected visitor waiting on the front porch. Victoria. What is she doing here? Tamara whispered as they pulled into the driveway. I don't know, Donovan replied, his expression darkening, but I intend to find out. Victoria stood as they approached, her smile as false as ever. Donovan, Tamara, and this must be Marcus. Hello, young man. Marcus moved closer to Tamara, suddenly shy. Oh, what do you want, Victoria? Donovan asked bluntly. To talk, privately. Her eyes flickered to Tamara and Marcus. Anything you have to say can be said in front of them, Donovan insisted. Victoria's smile tightened. Very well. I came to offer a compromise before tomorrow's meeting. What kind of compromise? Resign as CEO. Take a position as chairman of the board instead. No day-to-day responsibilities, no stress, no need for a competency evaluation. And Richard becomes CEO, Donovan guessed. He's already been doing the job for over a year, Victoria pointed out. The transition would be seamless. And what about Tamara? Victoria shrugged elegantly. Her employment would be a matter for the new CEO to decide. In other words, you'd fire her immediately, Donovan said flatly. Let's just say her position would be reconsidered. The answer is no, Donovan said without hesitation. I'm not stepping down. Not for you, not for Richard, not for anyone. Victoria's pleasant mask slipped, revealing the cold calculation beneath. Don't be a fool, Donovan. You're one vote away from a forced evaluation. Do you really want to put your life under that kind of scrutiny, all your decisions examined, questioned? If that's what it takes. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Think about what you're risking. Your reputation, your company. All for what? A caregiver and her child. That's enough, Tamara interrupted, stepping forward. Marcus, go inside and get started on your homework. I'll be right there. Marcus looked uncertainly between the adults before hurrying inside. Once he was gone, Tamara faced Victoria directly. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but don't you dare bring my son into it. Oh, honey, Victoria said with fake sympathy. You're already in the middle of the game. You just don't know the rules yet. The game is over, Victoria, Donovan said firmly. I'll see you at the board meeting tomorrow. Now get off my property. Victoria's smile returned, cold and calculating. Have it your way. But remember, I tried to be reasonable. She glanced at Tamara. Enjoy your time together. It won't last. They watched in silence as Victoria got into her car and drove away. I'm sorry about that, Donovan said as they went inside. Victoria has always been difficult. She's more than difficult, Tamara replied. She's dangerous. Donovan nodded grimly. Yes, she is. Which is why I need to make some calls tonight. We need every board member on our side for tomorrow. While Donovan worked in his study, Tamara helped Marcus with his homework and got him ready for bed. As she tucked him in, he looked up at her with serious eyes. Mama, is Mr. Donovan in trouble? Tamara hesitated, unsure how much to share. He has some problems at work, baby. But he's dealing with them. Is it because of us? That lady didn't seem to like us. Tamara's heart squeezed. Children noticed so much more than adults gave them credit for. No, sweetheart, it's not because of us. Some people just have a hard time seeing what's really important. I think Mr. Donovan is important, Marcus said sleepily. He makes you smile again. Tamara kissed his forehead, blinking back sudden tears. Go to sleep, baby. Everything will be okay. Later, she found Donovan still in his study, surrounded by papers, his face tired but determined. Any luck with the board members? She asked. Some, he replied. James and Sarah are definitely with us. Michael is on the fence. The rest? He shrugged. We'll find out tomorrow. Tamara sat on the edge of his desk. Donovan, if my being here is causing these problems, stop, he interrupted gently. You and Marcus are the best things that have happened to me since the accident. I won't let Victoria take that away. But your company is important, he acknowledged, but not at the expense of my life. For too long, I let the business define me. Then the accident happened, and suddenly, none of it mattered. I was just a broken man in a wheelchair. He took her hand, his eyes earnest. You and Marcus gave me something I'd lost. A reason to get up in the morning. A future worth fighting for. Tamara felt tears threatening again. When did you get so good at saying the right thing? It's easy when it's the truth, he replied with a small smile. Now we should both get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. The next morning was a flurry of activity. After dropping Marcus at school, they arrived at the office early to prepare for the board meeting. Donovan spent the time reviewing financial reports and company performance data, ammunition to remind the board why he was essential to the company's success. At 10 a.m. sharp, they entered the boardroom. All 12 board members were present, along with Richard and Victoria. Victoria sat next to an older board member, whispering in his ear, her hand resting on his arm in a familiar gesture. Typical, Donovan muttered. She's working Johnson. He's always been susceptible to a pretty face. The meeting began with Richard outlining the agenda. As you all know, this emergency session was called to address concerns about the current leadership and decision-making at West Investments. Victoria took over smoothly. Several board members have expressed concern about Donovan's judgment since his return, specifically his decision to promote his caregiver to a position of significant influence within the company, despite her lack of qualifications. Tamara felt all eyes turn to her, some curious, some sympathetic, some openly hostile. Ms. Blake has no experience in finance, Victoria continued. No college degree, no relevant background, yet she now has access to sensitive company information and significant influence over the CEO. If I may, Donovan interrupted, his voice calm but authoritative. Tamara Blake was studying accounting before personal circumstances interrupted her education. She has demonstrated exceptional organizational skills, attention to detail and analytical thinking, all qualities essential to her role as my personal assistant. Personal being the operative word, Victoria said with a smirk. We all see how personal your relationship has become. My personal life is not the business of this board, Donovan replied firmly. But since you've raised the issue, let me be clear. Yes, I care deeply for Tamara and her son. That doesn't compromise my judgment. It's enhanced it. He wheeled forward, addressing the entire board. For the past 18 months, I've been hiding from life, from responsibility. Tamara challenged me to step back into both. The results speak for themselves. He gestured to the financial reports in front of each board member. In the 2 weeks since I returned, our stock has risen 12%. 3 major clients who were considering leaving have recommitted to long-term contracts. The Mercer acquisition, which would have been disastrous, was avoided. That's all well and good, Johnson said, but Victoria has raised legitimate concerns about your fitness to lead. The accident, your disabilities. My body was injured, Mr. Johnson, not my mind, Donovan said sharply. Unless you're suggesting that people with physical disabilities are somehow less capable executives? Johnson shifted uncomfortably. Of course not. But the stress, the demands of the position, I've lived through worse, Donovan said quietly, and come out stronger. Sarah Chen, one of the board members Donovan had mentioned as an ally, spoke up. I, for one, have been impressed with Donovan's performance since his return. His strategic thinking seems sharper than ever. I agree, James Forrest added. The company feels energized again, and as for Ms. Blake, I've observed her work firsthand. She's intuitive, efficient, and completely dedicated to this company's success. Victoria's expression hardened. Nonetheless, I propose a formal competency evaluation for the good of the company and our shareholders. I second the motion, Johnson said immediately. Very well, Richard said. Let's put it to a vote. All in favor of requiring Donovan West to undergo a formal competency evaluation to determine his fitness to serve as CEO. Victoria's hand shot up, followed by Johnson's and 4 others. 6 votes. All opposed? Donovan held his breath as Sarah, James, and 3 others raised their hands. 5 votes. All eyes turned to Michael Rodriguez, the final board member, who had remained silent throughout the discussion. Michael looked troubled, his gaze moving from Donovan to Victoria and back. Mr. Rodriguez, Richard prompted. Your vote will decide. Michael cleared his throat. Before I vote, I'd like to ask a question. He turned to Donovan. If this evaluation goes forward, and if, hypothetically, it doesn't go your way, what happens to the company? Richard takes over as CEO, Donovan answered honestly. The Mercer acquisition likely goes through, despite the red flags I've identified. Several key employees who are loyal to me would probably leave, and the company's culture, which I've worked so hard to build, would fundamentally change. And if the evaluation confirms your competency, then we move forward stronger than before, Donovan said. I continue leading this company with the same vision and commitment I've always had. Michael nodded slowly. I've known you for a long time, Donovan. I've watched you build this company from nothing. I've also seen you at your lowest after the accident. He paused. But the man I see before me today reminds me of the Donovan West I first invested with. Determined, clear-eyed, passionate. He looked directly at Victoria. My vote is no, no evaluation is needed. The room erupted in murmurs. Victoria's face flushed with anger, while Richard looked strangely relieved. The motion is defeated, Richard announced. This meeting is adjourned. As the board members filed out, many stopped to shake Donovan's hand or pat his shoulder. Victoria stormed out without a word, Johnson trailing behind her like a puppy. When the room had emptied except for Donovan, Tamara, and Richard, an unexpected silence fell. Well, Richard said finally. That was close. Too close, Donovan agreed. Victoria won't stop here. No, she won't, Richard admitted. But I might have a solution. I'm listening. I've been offered a position at Langley Financial in New York. CEO, substantial equity stake. I've been considering it for a while. Donovan looked surprised. You're leaving West Investments? It makes sense, Richard said. This company has always been your vision, not mine. And Victoria, he hesitated. Victoria and I are having problems. Have been for a while. This could be a fresh start for both of us. What about your shares in West Investments? Donovan asked. I'd like to sell them back to you, Richard replied. At a fair price, of course. It would give you clear controlling interest. Donovan studied his brother's face. Why now, Richard? After everything that's happened? Richard sighed. Because I saw something today that reminded me of who you used to be, who we both used to be, before money and power got in the way. He glanced at Tamara. She's good for you. Better than Elena was, if I'm being honest. Donovan looked taken aback by his brother's candor. Think about my offer, Richard said, heading for the door. I'll have the paperwork drawn up. After he left, Tamara turned to Donovan. Do you trust him? Not entirely, Donovan admitted. But it's a solution worth considering. Tamara smiled. You won, you know. The board chose you. We won, Donovan corrected, taking her hand. I couldn't have done it without you. As they left the boardroom, Tamara felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. The battle wasn't over. Victoria would regroup. Diane might still cause problems, but for now, they had won, together. That evening, they celebrated with a special dinner at home. Marcus, sensing the festive mood, was extra animated, telling them about his day at school with elaborate hand gestures. And then Joey said sharks can't live in swimming pools, but I told him that's not true because Mr. Donovan said some sharks can live in fresh water. Bull sharks, Donovan confirmed, smiling at the boy's enthusiasm. Though I'm not sure your teacher would appreciate one in the school pool. Marcus giggled. That would be scary. After dinner, as Marcus played in the living room, Donovan asked Tamara to join him on the back porch. There's something I want to talk to you about, he said, his expression serious. Tamara felt a flutter of anxiety. Is everything okay? More than okay, Donovan assured her. I've been thinking about the future, about us. Donovan, I know it's only been a few months, he continued, but sometimes, when you know, you know. Know what? Tamara asked, her heart pounding. That you found someone worth changing your life for. Donovan took her hand. Tamara, I love you, and I love Marcus. I want us to be a family. Officially. Tamara felt tears spring to her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying that I want to make this permanent. You, me, Marcus, a real family. Donovan looked suddenly uncertain. Unless I'm moving too fast? Tamara laughed through her tears. You're asking if you're moving too fast? After I moved into your house with my son 2 months after meeting you? Donovan smiled. When you put it that way, I love you too, Tamara said softly. But there's something I need to know first. Anything. Are you sure? About taking on a ready-made family? About Marcus? He's already lost one father figure. I can't let him go through that again. I've never been more sure of anything, Donovan said firmly. Marcus is part of why I love you. Seeing you with him, seeing how brave and strong and loving you are as a mother, how could I not fall for both of you? Tamara felt the last of her reservations melting away. This wasn't her ex-husband, who had seen Marcus as a burden, a competitor for her attention. This was Donovan, who read shark books to prepare for conversations with a 5-year-old who saw her son's heart as clearly as she did. Yes, she said simply. Yes, to us being a family. Donovan's smile was radiant. There's one more thing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. I've been carrying this around for a week, waiting for the right moment. Inside was a delicate engagement ring, a single diamond catching the last light of day. It's not Elena's, he said quickly, anticipating her question. This is new, for us, for our new beginning. As Tamara looked at the ring, at Donovan's hopeful face, at the home they had created together, she felt a sense of peace she had thought would never be hers again. It's perfect, she whispered. Everything is perfect. Just then, Marcus called from inside the house. Mama, Mr. Donovan, come see what I built. They smiled at each other, recognizing the beautiful interruption for what it was, real life, their life together. Shall we? Donovan asked, holding out his hand. Tamara took it, the ring now on her finger. Let's go see what our son has built. Our son. The words felt right, natural, meant to be. As they went inside to join Marcus, Tamara knew there would be challenges ahead. Victoria wouldn't give up easily. Diane might never fully accept them. The ghost of Elena would always be part of their story. But for the first time in years, Tamara wasn't afraid of the future. Whatever came, they would face it together, as a family. And that was something worth fighting for. 6 months later, the garden of Donovan's house, now their house, was transformed. White flowers lined the stone pathway, and rows of chairs faced a simple arch twined with greenery. It was a perfect spring day, warm sunshine bathing everything in golden light. Inside, Tamara stood in front of the bedroom mirror, hardly recognizing herself in the simple white dress that flowed to her ankles. Her hair was swept up, tiny flowers woven through the dark strands. "You look like a princess, Mama," Marcus said, peering around the door in his new suit, his eyes wide with wonder. Tamara smiled, her heart full. "And you look very handsome in your suit, baby. Mr. Donovan said I'm the most important person in the wedding, 'cause I get to carry the rings," Marcus announced proudly, showing her the small pillow clutched in his hands. "That's right," Tamara agreed. "It's a very big responsibility." A gentle knock at the door revealed Loretta, now fully recovered from her sprained ankle and beaming with joy for her sister. "Everyone's ready whenever you are," Loretta said. "No rush. It's your day." Tamara took a deep breath. "I'm ready." The walk through the house to the garden felt like a dream. Guests turned to watch as she and Marcus made their way down the aisle, but Tamara saw only Donovan waiting for her at the end of the path, handsome in his suit, his eyes bright with love and unshed tears. As she reached him, he took her hand, his touch steady and sure. "You're beautiful," he whispered. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They had written their own vows, promises not just to each other, but to Marcus as well. When it came time for the rings, Marcus stepped forward importantly, the pillow held out before him. Donovan took one ring and slipped it onto Tamara's finger, then helped Marcus place the other ring on his own hand. "By the power vested in me," the officiant said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The small gathering of friends and colleagues erupted in applause as Donovan pulled Tamara into a kiss. When they broke apart, both reached down to include Marcus in their embrace. "We did it!" Marcus exclaimed. "We're a real family now." Laughter rippled through the guests at the boys' enthusiasm. The reception was held on the back lawn, transformed by twinkling lights and tables laden with food. Even the koi pond had been decorated, floating candles drifting among the bright fish. As Tamara moved among their guests, accepting congratulations and well wishes, she caught sight of a familiar face at the edge of the celebration. Diane Mercer stood near the garden gate, watching the festivities with an unreadable expression. Excusing herself, Tamara made her way over to the unexpected visitor. "Diane," she said, "I didn't know you were coming." "I wasn't invited," Diane admitted, "but I wanted to see for myself." "See what?" "If it was real," Diane said simply. "What you and Donovan have." Tamara didn't know how to respond. The last 6 months had been challenging. Richard had followed through on his promise, selling his shares back to Donovan and taking the position in New York. Victoria had filed for divorce shortly after, moving to California with a generous settlement. The company had thrived under Donovan's renewed leadership, and Tamara had flourished in her role, eventually taking charge of community outreach and charitable initiatives. "It's real," Tamara said finally. "It's not perfect. We have our struggles, but it's real." Diane nodded slowly. "I can see that." She hesitated, then added, "Elena would have liked you, I think. She valued authenticity above all else." "Thank you," Tamara said, touched by the unexpected olive branch. "Would you like to join the celebration?" "You're welcome to stay." Diane shook her head. "No, this is your day. I just needed to make peace with it, with him being happy again." "And have you?" Tamara asked gently. "I'm working on it," Diane admitted. "Tell Donovan. Tell him I'm glad he found his way back." With that, she turned and walked away, her elegant figure disappearing down the driveway. When Tamara returned to the reception, Donovan looked at her questioningly. "Diane was here," she explained. "I think she needed closure." Donovan nodded in understanding. "And did she find it?" "I think she's starting to," Tamara replied. Before they could discuss it further, the band announced the first dance. Donovan wheeled onto the dance floor, and Tamara sat on his lap, her arms around his neck as he guided his wheelchair in slow, graceful circles. "Happy?" he asked softly. "Completely," she answered. "And you?" "More than I ever thought possible." As the music played, other couples joined them on the dance floor. Tamara spotted Marcus dancing with Loretta, his small feet standing on top of hers as she guided him through the steps. "Look at our son," Donovan said, following her gaze. "He's going to break some hearts one day." "Our son," Tamara repeated, still marveling at the sound of it. Earlier that week, they had filed the adoption papers. Soon, Marcus would officially be Donovan's son, though in their hearts, it had been true for months. As the evening progressed, Tamara found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. From that first day when she'd arrived at Donovan's door, desperate for a job that would feed her child, to this moment, married, secure, loved. It hadn't been part of the plan. It hadn't been part of the deal. But sometimes, life offered something better than what you'd bargained for. Later, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, Tamara and Donovan sat on the back porch, watching the last of the twinkling lights reflect on the koi pond. Marcus had fallen asleep in Loretta's lap, exhausted from the excitement of the day. "I have something for you," Donovan said, reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small box. "Another gift?" Tamara asked. "Haven't you given me enough today?" Donovan smiled. "This is different. Open it." Inside the box was a house key and a photograph, the three of them laughing in the garden, taken several months ago during a weekend barbecue. They looked happy, relaxed, like a family who had always been together. "I don't understand," Tamara said, touching the key. "We already live here." "It's not for this house," Donovan explained. "It's for a new house, one we'll choose together." "But I love this house," Tamara protested. "It's our home." "It was my home," Donovan corrected gently. "Then it became our refuge. But I want us to have a fresh start. A place that's ours from the beginning, with no ghosts, no memories, except the ones we make together." Tamara felt tears well up. "That's the most thoughtful gift anyone has ever given me." "There's more," Donovan said. "I've established a trust for Marcus's education. And," he took a deep breath, "I've enrolled in the local community college, business management courses." "You're going back to school?" Tamara asked, surprised. "But why? You already run a successful company." "Not for me," Donovan clarified. "For you, as your study partner." Tamara stared at him, not comprehending. "I spoke with the dean of the accounting program," Donovan continued. "You're already halfway to your degree from your previous coursework. If you take 2 classes per semester, you could finish in 2 years. "Donovan?" Tamara's voice caught with emotion. "I can't. Between work and Marcus, we'll figure it out," Donovan assured her. "I can adjust my schedule. We can hire help if needed. This is your dream, Tamara. You put it on hold to survive, to take care of Marcus. Now it's time to pick it up again." Tamara looked at the man before her, the man who had once declared, "This is business. I don't need your sympathy, just your schedule." The man who had become her partner, her husband, a father to her son. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. "Because you took this job to feed your son," Donovan said, echoing words he'd spoken in his proposal 6 months ago. "But you fed something starving in me too. You reminded me what it means to live, not just exist. And I want to give both of you everything, not just material things, but a future, opportunities, dreams fulfilled." Tamara leaned forward and kissed him, pouring all her love and gratitude into the gesture. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "You know what Marcus asked me this morning?" she said. "He asked if you were still Mr. Donovan or if you had a new name now that we're married." Donovan smiled. "What did you tell him?" "That he could call you whatever felt right to him." Just then, a sleepy voice called from the doorway. "Mama? Dad? Is the party over?" They both turned to see Marcus standing there, rubbing his eyes, his suit rumpled from his nap. "Dad," Donovan repeated softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I guess he decided." Tamara nodded, her own eyes wet with tears. "I guess he did. Come here, buddy," Donovan called, opening his arms. Marcus shuffled over and climbed onto Donovan's lap, immediately snuggling against him with the complete trust of a child who feels safe and loved. "Did you have a good wedding day?" Donovan asked, stroking the boy's hair. "The best," Marcus mumbled sleepily. "Can we do it again tomorrow?" Tamara and Donovan laughed. "No, sweetheart," Tamara explained. "A wedding is just one day, but being a family is forever. Forever is good," Marcus decided, his eyes drifting closed again. Over the boy's head, Tamara and Donovan shared a look of pure understanding. This was what they had both been searching for, in their different ways. A family, a home, a love that wasn't part of any deal or contract, but had grown naturally from care and respect and shared moments. "Forever," Donovan agreed, reaching for Tamara's hand, the simple gold band on his finger catching the last light of their wedding day. "That sounds just about right." As the stars came out above their home, their temporary home, now that a new adventure awaited. Tamara thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a desperate single mother taking a job she never expected to land, to a woman surrounded by love and possibility. Anne Donovan, once a recluse who had declared this is business with cold certainty, now held her hand with warmth and tenderness, his eyes full of plans for their shared future. It hadn't been part of the deal they'd originally made, it had been so much more. In the weeks that followed the wedding, life settled into a new rhythm. Tamara enrolled in her first accounting class, attending evening lectures twice a week, while Donovan stayed home with Marcus. On those nights, she would return to find them engaged in elaborate science experiments in the kitchen or building complex Lego structures in the living room. They began house hunting, spending weekends exploring different neighborhoods, imagining their life in each potential home. Marcus insisted on a yard big enough for a dog, while Donovan focused on accessibility features. Tamara simply wanted a place that felt like them, warm, welcoming, a fresh start. They found it on a tree-lined street not far from Marcus's school, a modern single-story home with wide doorways, an open floor plan, and a backyard that backed onto a small nature preserve. The previous owners had already installed ramps and accessible bathrooms, making it perfect for Donovan's needs. "This is it," Tamara said as they toured the sunlit kitchen for the second time. "This feels like home," Donovan agreed, watching Marcus run excitedly from room to room. "It's perfect." They made an offer that day, and within a month, they were moving in. The process of packing up Donovan's old house was both practical and symbolic, deciding together what to keep, what to donate, what to leave behind. Elena's photographs, which had once been hidden away in drawers, were respectfully packed and given to Diane, who received them with tearful gratitude. Victoria's expensive decorative touches were donated to charity. The memories of pain and isolation that had permeated the old house were not packed at all, but left behind like ghosts finally laid to rest. Their new home quickly filled with evidence of their shared life: Marcus's artwork on the refrigerator, Tamara's textbooks on the coffee table, Donovan's adaptive equipment seamlessly integrated into the design. They planted a garden together, Marcus insisting on vegetables alongside the flowers, because growing your own food is important, Dad says so. At West Investments, Donovan continued to thrive as CEO, his leadership stronger than ever. He had restructured the executive team, promoting talented employees who shared his vision and ethics. The company's charitable foundation, now directed by Tamara, had expanded its focus to include accessibility initiatives and support for single parents returning to education. Richard, true to his word, had settled in New York with his new position. His relationship with Donovan remained complex, but was healing slowly through cautious phone calls and occasional visits. Victoria had remarried quickly, a wealthy real estate developer in Los Angeles, and rarely contacted them, which suited everyone just fine. Diane Mercer, perhaps the most surprising development, had gradually moved from adversary to cautious friend. After the wedding, she had reached out to Tamara, inviting her to lunch. That first awkward meeting had led to others, each less strained than the last. Diane had even attended Marcus's 6th birthday party, bringing him a book about marine biology that had become his new favorite. "She reminds me of Elena sometimes," Donovan had admitted one night after Diane's visit. "Not in looks, but in spirit. Elena was fiercely loyal too once she let you in." "I'm glad she's finding peace," Tamara had replied. "Everyone deserves that." On their 6-month wedding anniversary, Tamara came home from class to find the house strangely quiet. No Marcus running to greet her, no Donovan working in his home office. "Hello," she called, setting down her books. "Anybody home?" Following a trail of rose petals that led through the house, she found herself in the backyard. There, under a canopy of twinkling lights, was a table set for two. Donovan waited beside it, dressed in a suit, a bottle of champagne chilling nearby. "Where's Marcus?" Tamara asked, looking around for their son. "Sleepover at his friend Tyler's house," Donovan explained. "Arranged by yours truly for our anniversary." "You planned all this?" Tamara gestured to the romantic setup. "With a little help," Donovan admitted. "Loretta helped with the lights, but the cooking is all me." Tamara raised an eyebrow. "You cooked?" "Don't look so surprised," Donovan laughed. "I've been practicing when you're at class. Nothing fancy, but it's edible." As they enjoyed the simple but delicious meal, Tamara marveled at how far they'd come. Donovan had regained some function in his left arm through continued therapy, enough to manage cooking simple meals. His leg would never fully recover, but he had embraced his wheelchair as part of his identity rather than a limitation. "I have news," Tamara said as they finished dessert. "I got my midterm grades back, straight A's in both classes." "That's my brilliant wife," Donovan said proudly. "Not that I'm surprised." "It's because of you," Tamara said. "Your support, your belief in me." Donovan shook his head. "No, it's all you. I just created the space for you to shine." "Speaking of creating," Tamara said, suddenly nervous, "I have something to tell you, something big." Donovan set down his champagne glass, his expression turning serious. "What is it?" "I'm pregnant," Tamara said, the words rushing out. 8 weeks. I found out yesterday." Donovan's face transformed with wonder. "A baby? We're having a baby." Tamara nodded, tears of joy filling her eyes. "Marcus is going to be a big brother." Donovan wheeled around the table to pull her into his arms. "I never thought. After the accident, the doctors said it might be difficult." "Well, apparently they were wrong," Tamara said, laughing through her tears. "How do you feel about it?" Donovan asked, suddenly concerned. "With school and work and—" "Terrified," Tamara admitted. "Excited, overwhelmed, grateful, all of it at once." "Me too," Donovan said, his hand moving to rest gently on her still flat stomach. "But we'll figure it out together, like we always do." That night, as they lay in bed talking about the future, making plans and dreaming dreams, Tamara thought about the strange, winding path that had led them here, from a desperate job interview to this moment of complete happiness. "Do you ever think about that first day?" she asked softly. "When I came to work for you?" "Often," Donovan admitted. "I was such an ass." "You were hurt," Tamara corrected. "Wounded in more ways than one." "And you saw through it," Donovan said, his fingers trailing through her hair. "You saw me, not the wheelchair or the anger." "Just like you saw me," Tamara replied. "Not just a single mother desperate for a job, but a woman with dreams and strength and value." "We saved each other," Donovan said, drawing her closer. "That wasn't part of the deal." "No," Tamara agreed, resting her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "It was so much better than the deal." As they drifted off to sleep, wrapped in each other's arms, Tamara thought about the baby growing inside her. A new life, a new beginning, another chapter in a story that had started with a job posting and a desperate need. "This is business," Donovan had said that first day. "I don't need your sympathy, just your schedule." But life had other plans. Life always did. The next morning they told Marcus about the baby. His eyes went wide with excitement. "I'm going to be a big brother?" he asked, bouncing on his toes. "For real." "For real," Tamara confirmed. "The baby will be here in about 7 months." "That's forever," Marcus groaned. "It'll go by faster than you think," Donovan assured him, ruffling the boy's hair. "And we need that time to get ready. Big brothers have important responsibilities." Marcus's face turned serious. "I'll take good care of the baby, I promise." "We know you will, sweetheart," Tamara said, pulling him into a hug. As they ate breakfast together, planning the nursery and discussing potential names, Tamara watched her family with a full heart. Marcus, animated and excited about being a big brother. Donovan, his eyes bright with joy and purpose. This was what healing looked like. This was what love could build from the ashes of pain and loss. This was what happened when you opened your heart to possibilities you never imagined. It hadn't been part of the deal. This family, this love, this future stretching bright before them. It had been so much more. 6 months later, on a warm autumn evening, Sarah Elaine West was born. She had Donovan's dark eyes and Tamara's delicate features. Marcus declared her the most perfect baby ever and appointed himself her official protector. Holding her daughter in the hospital room, with Donovan and Marcus beside her, Tamara felt the circle of their family complete itself. "She's beautiful," Donovan whispered, gently touching the baby's tiny hand with his finger. "Just like her mother, and stubborn like her father," Tamara added with a tired smile. 20 hours of labor proves that." Donovan laughed softly, then grew serious. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "for everything, for taking that job, for not giving up on me, for our family." Tamara looked at her husband, at their son leaning against Donovan's wheelchair to get a better look at his sister, at the tiny bundle in her arms. From the broken pieces of their separate lives, they had built something whole and beautiful and strong. "No," she said, reaching for Donovan's hand. "Thank you for making room in your life for us, for seeing beyond the surface, for loving us so completely." As the sun set outside the hospital window, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, the West family shared a moment of perfect unity and peace. It hadn't been part of any deal, any contract, any arrangement. It had been a journey from survival to love, from isolation to connection, from brokenness to healing, and it was just beginning, the end.